The United Nations has launched its latest Human Development Index report, and the news is that India has slipped by 2 points from 129 position. It's now gone down to 131 positions, and that's out of a ranking of 189 nations. Now, the Human Development Index looks at several parameters, including the per capita income. It looks at life expectancy and education levels to figure out the ranking of nations. For the first time, planetary pressures have also been added to figure out the ranking of nations, and this basically comprises of the carbon emissions that a country is producing, and also the material levels, the material footprint of how much its consumption is at. And basically the reason for this is that the UN clearly says that this has been an extraordinary year with the pandemic, which has been a reminder of the kind of pressures that in the environment is facing, and the feedback that's coming up directly affecting the human well-being and our life. So that clearly is something that's manifesting itself, and therefore you cannot have development without protecting the environment, and therefore these two aspects have also been added. Now, as far as the other nations are concerned, Norway, Ireland and Switzerland are at the top of the pile. They are amongst the best performers as far as the PHDI, which includes the planetary aspects of the Human Development Index, are concerned. China is at the 85th position and Pakistan is at 154th position. I spoke with Shoko Noda, the representative of the UNDP in India, and other senior UN officials about what this report means for India. Thanks so much. It's great to see the fact that we are taking into account climate change and the issues about that concerns the planet, and they are really center stage, I think, as Bahar said, in the Human Development Index report. As you said, the fact that India has done very well when it comes to being weighed against CO2 emissions and material consumption. We've actually, I think, improved by 8 places is what you'd said when weighted for these two parameters. However, our ranking has slipped by 1. It's at 131 this time. So what has changed? What are we not doing well? Apart from these two parameters, what has dragged down our position?
Ridheshji, as you correctly said, the ranking has slipped by 1, but as Shoko already said, the absolute value of the index has gone up a little. Now, the ranking is relative, so all that it means is that other countries have done better. So it is not as if India is not doing well. It simply means that other countries have done slightly better. But I think the key takeaway, as Shoko mentioned, is the fact that when we adjust for the planetary damage, India does not suffer as much as the high human development group countries have. 50 of them have dropped out of that group, which means their ranking has dramatically come down. Their PHDIs have dramatically reduced. India's hasn't. So that means that we are on the right track. If action is taken now, then in the coming years, our PHDI will be much, much better compared to other countries.
One quick point. You also said that no country has actually reached that high level of development without a big pressure on the planet. So if that's the case, we really have to have a new way of development, because all the first world countries have actually gotten there by exploiting the resources and causing, in a way, climate change. So what we are now saying is that we have to adopt a brand new path. And India's main argument has always been that you have to make those technologies available to us. You have to make all of that available to us. So how is that going to happen? You want us to develop properly, and yet the only way it's happened in the past has been by exploiting resources. So how's that going to happen?
And one thing I have been impressed in India is this country is like have a center of innovation when globally. So a lot of ideas are coming up. Technology, I think, yes, we can learn technology from other countries, but also I think India is now in a place where Indian technologies and ideas can be kind of exported from. So I think we need to look at it from that lens and see how India can also support the rest of the world.
I completely second what Shoko mentioned, that this is no longer the case that India should look to the West, so to speak, for technology to be given to us, which have not been climate friendly at all. So India can instead, we are at a stage where we can produce the right technologies, the right nature-based solutions, and offer it to the rest of the world. We are the technological hub, so to speak. And we would look forward to these technologies, green technologies coming from India, which can go to the rest of the world. In terms of financing, yes, a lot has been said in the report, mostly in terms of incentives, which was again mentioned by Shoko earlier, how you can incentivize a transition towards greener technology, and it would inevitably have implications for certain subsidies that go for fossil fuels. We have to rethink that, balance it with incentivizing solar energy, clean energy. So there is a balance act which the government and everybody, all stakeholders will have to perform. But yes, it talks a lot about how greener technology can be financed.
Thank you, Vasudev. And thank you, Sidharth, for that question. I think you have very well articulated the very essence of the report, which talks about that we need to balance the planet and people's progress and development. Development without balancing and putting less stress on the planet is no development at all. The report actually mentions financing, not so explicitly, but in the way that we are looking at nature-based solutions, where we are looking at incentives and regulations, and also talking about that in order to, to have this balance, we need to look at equitable development. We need to look at innovations and stewardship, where we can look at a political will between countries to look at environment and development together. On incentives, it particularly says that we need to look at better incentives that do not put a lot of stress on the environment. And Vasudev has already talked about the subsidies and the regulations, and also India's commitment, but also a nature-based solution. One of the things that has been really talked about is that there are a set of 20 nature-based solutions that can actually bring down the emissions by 37% to meet the Paris Agreement targets. So that's huge. If the countries do provide that stewardship towards nature and bring in these nature-based solutions, a lot can be done. And of course, it's not only nature-based solutions, together with incentives and social norms. Social norms have also created a lot of change. Look at the ban on plastics that have happened and really made people to switch over from single-use plastic to other alternatives. There is, the social distancing. Everything has happened in so quickly. But I will also like to mention, since you're talking about different technologies and financing, we are talking about an interconnected world. The developments that take place in one part will have an impact on the other parts. So if we develop together and collectively we can take action and empower people and empower and bring in equitable development, that will help to bring in that balance. That's what the report is actually saying.